During Hispanic Heritage Month, we take time to recognize the contributions of Latino elected officials, community activists, and leaders who are fighting to make a difference. For today's episode, I'm thrilled to be joined by Juan Proaño, the CEO of the League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC. I'm Hannah Moldavan, Deputy Communications Director for the Democrats, and your host for today. This is the Democrats' Daily Blueprint. For today's episode, we have Juan Proaño you're the CEO of the League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, if I'm saying that correctly. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Hannah. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. So 96 years, that is how long LULAC has been the premier civil rights organization for Latinos in the United States. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah. Well, LULAC is the country's oldest Latino civil rights organization. It's also the largest. We're the only one with a national footprint with councils in 31 states, 196 cities, and over 575,000 members. We advocate for the Latino community on civil rights issues and issues in regards to economic empowerment, education, birthright citizenship, since it's become an issue all of a sudden during this administration, and we're really there to stand up and fight for our community.
You mentioned birthright citizenship and this administration being a problem. 10 years, that's how long Donald Trump has been sort of on the political scene. He came down that golden escalator, and everyone remembers how he came down and said that Mexicans were criminals, right? He's sort of stoking fears when it comes to immigration generally in the United States. Trump has hurt the Latino community, healthcare, the economy. What is the LULAC doing in the face of some of these specific attacks? You mentioned birthright citizenship. And what can we be doing to support you?
Well, so I'm very proud to say that LULAC was the first organization to sue this administration. We literally sued him on January 20th. We knew that birthright citizenship was something that he was going to go after. It was part of what they had put in Project 2025, and we were ready to go. We filed a lawsuit that night, and I've continued to litigate it. We actually received a preliminary injunction in the first district. It's now going to the Supreme Court. I know that they started their hearings today.
Yeah.
It sounds like we probably aren't going to get to it until maybe January, given the current schedule that they have. But we will be at the Supreme Court, and we're going to continue arguing it with other plaintiffs that are also going to stand up for birthright citizenship as well.
That's incredible. I think lawsuits and the legal community fighting back is what you see a lot now. A lot of the Democratic AGs have filed lawsuits as well within the administration. I want to talk a little bit about small businesses. Recent studies have shown that Latinos and Latina entrepreneurs specifically have launched new businesses at the fastest rate of any demographic group. So when we're thinking about talking to elected leaders or creating policies that help small business communities, what do you think we can do to support those entrepreneurs?
Well, depending on which report you look at, it's anywhere from $4.8 trillion to $6.1 trillion in economic impact that Latinos actually have in this country, the fifth largest in the world. I was a small business owner for over 20 years, and I know how difficult and challenging that can actually be. But when we start to talk about Latino businesses, very sadly, people think about large, scalable Latino businesses. Fact of the matter is 99 Latino businesses are not scalable. They will never get to more than 4 employees. They may never have more than $500,000, for example, in revenue. But what they do have is their family-owned businesses. This could be the lawn service company, for example. It can be the cleaning lady that may come to your home and provide these services as well. They are mom and pop, sole proprietors, if you will, and they really rely on social service programs like healthcare, for example, because they're not large enough to actually be able to get it in a private market. They rely on, for example, Obamacare to be able to get their healthcare as well. So we need to be able to continue to support them, continue to provide them with financial support. Access to loans is really a really big differentiating factor for Latino small businesses, and really giving them more opportunities in every state across the country.
Now, you mentioned healthcare, and I would be remiss to mention right now as we record this, I believe we're day 7 of the government shutdown. One of the reasons why Democrats are holding the line is because ACA tax credits are going to expire at the end of this year unless something is done. That keeps healthcare affordable. That's something that Democrats are fighting for. You mentioned healthcare. I just have to say that. I don't know if you want to say anything about the importance of healthcare, affordable healthcare as well.
Well, HR 1, is going to have such a negative impact on our country. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're a Latino or African American or Asian or non-Hispanic white. It is literally going to impact everyone. And, it's not just healthcare, it's Medicaid, Medicare, for example. Our elderly community are going to be significantly impacted as well. And we need to stand the line. I support what Democrats are doing. We need to get the Republicans back to the table to negotiate a better deal for all Americans.
Fantastically said. Now, lastly, we've read a lot and heard a lot about electoral trends of Latino voters, how they swung away from Democrats and more towards Republicans in 2024. But now Trump and Republicans have seen their biggest drops in approval ratings amongst Latinos. What are you hearing from people on the ground? What are the top issues from folks that you're talking to? And how can Democrats be a leader in this space and show that we're fighting for a better economy? We're fighting for lower wages. We're fighting to call BS on the Trump administration when they've promised a lot of things that they haven't delivered on.
Yeah, it's a trend, sadly, that we started to see in 2016. We saw it in 2020, and 2024 obviously was really a breaking point. More Latino men voted for Trump than any other Republican president up until that point in time. I think what we're seeing now is very much buyer's remorse. A lot of folks didn't necessarily believe when he talked about immigration enforcement, and the detentions and deportations that he was planning. They thought it was just one of those other things that he talked a big game but wasn't necessarily going to deliver on. I was telling voters throughout, if you believe he's going to cut your taxes, then you should absolutely believe that he's going to implement one of the most egregious deportation efforts that this country has ever seen, and that's what we're seeing. But it's not just that. He promised to lower inflation. Inflation hasn't gone down.
Hasn't gone down at
all.
Right?
He promised to lower the unemployment rate. Unemployment hasn't necessarily gone down. The cost of eggs, certainly where I shop, it's $6, $7, $9 per dozen. It's still very expensive. And it's really put a lot of families, especially Latino families, in jeopardy. Concerned about their health care, concerned about the cost of food, and just putting food on the dinner table is really a challenge for our community.
Juan, thank you so much for coming into our studio today. We're so happy to have you. It's Hispanic Heritage Month, and so we're excited to focus specifically, too, on how we can make sure that, as Democrats, we're prioritizing and talking to Hispanic communities. So thank you for coming in.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate it very much, Hannah.
Thank you so much to Juan for coming into our studio today to have that conversation. Now, here at the Daily Blueprint, we're highlighting candidates who are fighting for working families and who need your support to win. Today, in our segment for 60 candidates in 60 days before the November election, we want to spotlight Justin Crosby, who is running for a seat in the Mississippi State Legislature for the 22nd House District. Justin is running for state representative because he believes communities from Aberdeen to Houston deserve bold leadership that's rooted in service, not politics. Sign up to make calls, knock doors, and volunteer with the Crosby campaign at crosbyfor22.com. You can find the link in our video description below. Thank you so much for joining us today for this episode of the Daily Blueprint. We'll be with you right here every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern on the DNC's YouTube page. Until then.